action.
So, boys and girls, welcome to the fifth lecture of environmental science, the general part. Now, this environmental science is a mandatory course of BTech second year. You people already know, and you have come across four lectures already in this particular subject, right? Now, the first lecture included the different type of resources, right, and that are used for the sustenance of the human beings, okay, that we need in every respect, with every carbon footprint, we need those particular resources, right? So this was about the first lecture, and in the second lecture we have seen that what is population, because definitely resource is used by the population itself, and it is directly proportional to the population. So what is population, what is exponential growth, what is logistic growth, how to study the growth of population and its rate, that we will have seen in lecture 2, right? In lecture 3 people have seen what different type of disasters are there, because whenever the resources are exhausted to the maximum extent by the population itself, then disaster comes, right? And what different type of disasters can be there, and how these disasters should be controlled on the one-to-one basis and on the government basis, that we people have seen, right? Now in the fourth lecture we people have started ecosystem, that is ecology and ecosystem part 1, and this is ecology and ecosystem part 2. So whatever has been done in the fourth lecture, that is very recapitulation of that part is very important for us for starting this particular lecture, right? So let us have a quick recap about what has been done in the last lecture, that is the part 1 of this ecology and ecosystem, okay? So let's move into that. So what basically we people have seen in the last lecture, there is a lecture 4 part 1 of this particular thing. We have seen that what ecosystem is, what is the definition of ecosystem. Now what are the different types of ecosystem, that is natural and artificial ecosystem, we people have seen, and we people have seen what are the different your factors and components, there is biotic components, abiotic components, that we people have seen. And we people have also seen that what different type of your ecosystems are, like terrestrial ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem, okay? Now terrestrial ecosystem we people had started, and inside the terrestrial ecosystem we people have seen that what is grassland ecosystem and what is desert ecosystem, okay? So grassland ecosystem, basically it contains grasses, herbs and shrubs which are eaten by the animals, corresponding animals, right, that we people have seen in that particular lecture, right? And after that we people have seen that in forest there are what type of things are present, and how many types of forest are there, and what are the different ecosystems of a forest, that also we people have seen in that particular lecture, right? Now in this lecture we are going to see the other three type of ecosystems. There is 2 terrestrial ecosystems are there, and 1 aquatic ecosystem is there, okay? So let us start with the desert ecosystem. Now on the beginning of the desert ecosystem, we people will see that how many different type of deserts are there. So basically there are 2 types of deserts, one is hot desert and the other is cold desert, right? Best example of hot desert is Shahada desert, followed by Kalahari desert, and best example of cold desert is Gobi, right? Gobi desert. Now India is the country where both hot and cold deserts are available, right? In India, hot desert Thar desert is available, and in India only cold desert like Ladakh is also available, right? So we live in a country where both hot and cold desert are present, okay? Now as far as hot deserts are concerned, we will see that about 17% of the total land area is covered by desert ecosystem, okay? 17% of the total land area is covered by desert ecosystem. Now this 17% constitutes different type of abiotic and biotic factors, and this abiotic factors includes light, temperature, minerals, then sand will be there, air will be there, wind will be there, storm will be there, right? Because see, in grassland we have land, in desert we cannot write soil. Okay, we have to write sand. It's because in grassland we are having lots of soil, but in desert we are not having that much soil. We are having sand. Okay, right. So these are the abiotic factors, abiotic components present inside a grassland. Okay, now we need to move to the biotic components. Now what biotic component means, that we people have already seen in our previous lecture, that biotic component means all the living beings that are present around us. Now this living beings can be of three types. Okay, one is producer, other is consumer, third one is decomposer, right? Now producers are of two types, autotroph, heterotroph, but here we will generalize the producers in such a way that what plants and what type of bushes are present inside the desert, right? So desert basically contains shrubs and different type of bushes which are basically thorny in nature. Okay, now we know that there is a process called transpiration which denotes the amount of water lost from the surface of the leaf of a plant, right? Now here, as far as the desert is concerned, right, we people will be having thorny bushes. Why thorny bushes are basically present in desert? In order to avoid the water loss, because water is of very scarcity in the desert. In order to avoid the water loss, basically thorny bushes are found in desert, right? Because pointed leaves actually results in less water loss, less transpiration. Okay, and also examples will be cactus, xerophytes plants, and mosses. Now xerophyte means plants that can live in condition like desert. Okay, so these are the different type of producers that are present inside the desert. Now we are having two more things coming up. One is consumer, another is decomposer, right? Now as far as the consumers are concerned, the main consumers will be reptiles, insects, rattlesnake, we people know about it, and some nocturnal animals are there, rodents are there, nocturnal birds are there. See, nocturnal means those who actually comes out during night, because in desert in the daytime there is huge amount of heat and animals cannot survive, right? So basically they hide during the daytime and they come out for prey during night. So basically they are called nocturnal animals. Okay, and the camel, as we all know, is called the sheep of the desert, is the main source of transportation inside the desert. Though nowadays many cars and vehicles are there, but still camel is called the sheep of the desert. Okay, right? Now this was all about the consumers, and next we are having the decomposers. Okay, so decomposer means there are very few organisms, because in condition like desert temperature is very high, so maximum microorganisms cannot survive, but very few bacteria and fungi are there which actually works and for the decomposition of dead and decaying organic matter, right? So this was all about the desert ecosystem, and next we will move to the next ecosystem, which is nothing but the pond ecosystem, right? Now desert, grassland and forest, all three belongs to terrestrial ecosystem, but ponds, as we know, it belongs to aquatic ecosystem. Okay, so let us discuss in brief the pond ecosystem, right? Now pond basically belongs to freshwater ecosystem, and here different types of aquatic animals are present. Okay, so it is a freshwater aquatic ecosystem which is self-sufficient and is self-regulating. Why self-sufficient? Because you don't need to add anything inside the pond. If you are not doing any type of farming and all, right, cultivation and all, then no need to add anything inside the pond. The pond will regulate itself in such a way that both animals and aquatic plants can sustain inside the pond, right? So it will regulate by itself, no need to poke into its matter, right? So that is what is a self-regulating and self-sufficient mechanism, what is a pond ecosystem is, right? Now what type of abiotic components can we find inside the pond ecosystem? Now these physical components of pond, like sunlight, water, current, heat, glass, carbon dioxide, oxygen, etc., these all are abiotic component. Main abiotic component is water, followed by sunlight, and heat is there, small gases are there, small amount. There is dissolved oxygen, as you people can know, is present, and if oxygen is present, then carbon dioxide will also be present, right? So all this belongs to the abiotic components present inside the pond. Also, if we go into the inorganic and organic content, because all these are physical abiotic components, so inorganic and organic components are nothing but the same. Inorganic components will be sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, etc., and the organic components will be carbohydrate, protein, fat, lipids, which are present inside the body of aquatic animals, okay, as well as plants, right? Now, if we move towards the biotic components, we'll see that biotic component basically are of three types as usual: producer, consumer, and decomposer. Now, if we move more further, we'll see that producers are microscopic phytoplanktons like algae, euglena. Okay, so this sort of phytoplanktons are present as producers. Zooplankton and phytoplanktons are there. Hydrilla, nymphia, and this type of small plants are also there, which act as producer, right? Now they are eaten by very very small fishes and tadpoles, which itself act as primary consumers. So small fish and tadpole will be the primary consumer. Now these are eaten by the relatively large fishes and crabs and frogs, which act as the secondary consumer, and which are even eaten by turtles and extremely large fishes, which they are called tertiary consumers, right? So primary, secondary, tertiary, three type of consumers are present there also in the pond ecosystem. And now let us move to the decomposers. Now there is a large number of bacteria, fungi, and protozoas are present inside the pond, right? And they feed on the dead and decaying organic matter present in the pond. Okay, so they act as decomposers, right? So the pond ecosystem is very simple, as we people have already seen. And now let us move to the next ecosystem, which is very very important for us, that is the mangrove ecosystem. Okay, so let us see what the mangrove ecosystem says. Now, as we people can see, mangroves are basically Sundari trees. As we people can see, they are basically mangrove forest or Sundarbans present in the coastal region of West Bengal, and mangrove ecosystem is somewhat different from all the other type of ecosystem, right? Because here POM is a direct source of food for smaller crustaceans and all, right? POM means particulate organic matter. Okay, so mangrove is a totally different ecosystem, which actually is not common to all the type of ecosystem that we people have studied till now. Now, this ecosystem contains wide variety of plants and animals, because they are the junction point of the fresh water and the marine water. Okay, so mangrove ecosystem is very very unique in its kind, and different type of things have been found in this particular ecosystem, right? Okay, so next, after the mangrove ecosystem, all the 5 ecosystems that we people are supposed to study are complete, and we people are having a very important term, which is food chain and food web, right? So we will start from food chain. But before starting food chain, let us have some more details about the mangrove ecosystem, right? So mangrove ecosystem is basically the Sundarban forest, which is the largest estuarine mangrove forest, right, located in the world in the 24 Parganas district of West Bengal as well as Bangladesh, right? So this ecosystem is shared by West Bengal and Bangladesh, and the total area of this ecosystem is about 10,200 square kilometers, right? And out of this 10,200 square kilometer, 4,266 square kilometer is the mangrove forest, right? Now this particular ecosystem, due to its beauty and richness of wildlife, has been declared by the World Natural Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1974, and was later declared as a national park in 1984, right? Now, why the mangrove ecosystem is so much rich in terms of plants and animals and birds, right? Because it is a delta of 3 rivers, basically Ganges, the Brahmaputra, and the Meghna rivers, which basically meets in that particular area in the Bay of Bengal, right? And due to which there is a wide range of flora and fauna that is available in this particular ecosystem. There is 260 bird species are there, and this is the home of the Royal Bengal tiger, the very very what I can say important animal to us. It is a national animal also, and it is also the home of the Estonian crocodile as well as the large Indian python. Okay, now this particular trees are named after the plants that are very beautiful and are called Sundari plants, or Sundari trees rather, right? Now mangrove forests are very very important for us, because they actually help us from soil erosion, from tsunamis. They actually protects us, okay, right? And some salient features of the Sundarban mangrove forests is like the Sundarban, it is the largest deltaic mangrove forest, okay, and out of this 10,200 square kilometer, 5,900 square kilometer is the reserve forest of Bangladesh, and 4,263 square kilometer is the reserve forest of India. Now the Indian part actually is in the South 24 Parganas, and it is under the South 24 Parganas Reserve Forest, as well as the STR, Sundarban Tiger Reserve. Okay, now we know that it is the our Sundarbans is the home of the Great Royal in Bengal tiger, right? And the Sundarban Tiger Reserve was constituted under the Project Tiger scheme of government in 1973, and later on in 1977 it was declared as a wildlife sanctuary, as well as it actually was felicitated with the tagline of a national park in 1984. Okay, right. Now this was only the beginning, this was not the end, because the Sundarban Tiger Reserve was included in the list of World Natural Heritage Sites by the organizations in 1987, right? Now Government of India declared the Sundarban region as a biosphere reserve in 1989, and also it received the recognition of the UNESCO under the Man and Biosphere program in 2001, right? Okay, so several different type of recognitions have been received by our very own Sundarbans, which is just a few kilometers away from us, right? And there are 64 plant species and different type of animal species that are present. The main species includes the tiger, the Estuarian crocodile, and the ground turtle, the different type of crocodiles, the big turtles, king crabs, as well as the gigantic dolphin also, right? Also it contains a fishing cat, cheetal, wild boar, and several other animals, right? Phoenix is also found in this particular area. Okay, so Sundarbans are pretty rich, and they have got multiple recognitions, which is actually a very pride to us being the people of Bengal, right? Okay, now we will move inside the topic called food chain. Okay, so what is food chain basically? Food chain is not a chain in which the foods are just accustomed so that you can eat it up, right? Food chain is something using which we can explain there's who will eat whom, right? This is the basic question of the food chain. Who will eat whom? Okay, for example, say grass is there. Now who will eat grass? Immediate answer will come grasshopper. Okay, fine. Who will eat grasshopper? Immediate answer will come frog. Okay, who will eat the frog? Immediate answer will come snake. Now who will eat the snake? Answer will come peacock, right? Now you cannot, I cannot say that who will eat the peacock will be eaten by man, because you will be jailed. Okay, peacock is the national bird, right? So we cannot say that who will eat peacock. But basically what the thing is, that this particular relation of the predator and the prey, it is explained in terms of food chain, right? Now a food chain shows how each living thing gets food, and how the nutrients and energy are passed from one creature to another creature. Okay, now this starts from definitely the producers, that is the plant life, and it ends with animal life. Now some animals eat the plants and some animals eat other animals. Okay, now a simple food chain will start with grass, which is eaten by grasshopper or rabbit, and then I have just spoken that the grasshopper will be eaten by frog, then snake, then peacock, then hawk. Okay, this sort of things. Now how many types of food chains are there that we people will discuss? So food chain is basically of two types. One is the grazing food chain, and another is the detritus food chain. Okay, these two different type of food chains will be discussing. Grazing food chain means that simply the animals that grazes on each other, and detritus food chain is nothing but the microorganism food chain. Okay, now combination of different food chain result in the formation of food web, right? So you can see the diagram that different type of food chains are combined in this particular thing, which is called food web, right? Now a simple question can come that how many food chains are present in the food web, right? Now whatever food web we people are seeing here, right? Can you tell me how many food chains are interconnected in this particular food web? there are multiple food chains. Okay, you can see the mountain lion is there, hawk, snake, screw, squirrel, grasshopper, multiple things are present, huh? So it is a combination, it is a what I can say, it is a dangerous combination of different food chains, right? And that's why it is called a food web. Okay, so this was all about the topics that were present today. We have seen multiple things. We have seen starting from the desert ecosystem. Okay, we have started from the desert ecosystem, and later on we have seen that what different type of animals and plants are found in the desert, and what abiotic biotic components are found in the desert, right? After that we have seen what is pond and what is pond ecosystem, and we have not left the pond. Then inside the pond, what type of plants and animals and what microorganisms are present, that we people have seen. After that, we people have seen that what is mangrove ecosystem. We have briefly explained what recognitions the mangrove ecosystem have got, and what is the importance of mangroves, how it has become the World Heritage Site by UNESCO, and what everything regarding this particular mangroves, different type of animals, plants, we people have been discussed, right? We have discussed. Okay, this was followed by the discussion of the food chain and the food web. So what is food chain, we people have seen, and it is combination of different animals, and what is food web, that is combination of different food chains, that also we have seen in this particular lecture. Okay, so this is the final part of the ecology and ecosystem, right? Now 5 lectures are complete in the general part. We are left with one more lecture, so that lecture is coming right away after the completion of this lecture. So if you have any doubts regarding anything, just ring me up or just contact with me, and we will sort the answer, and we will lead towards the completion of this particular topic, right? Okay, so till then, thank you so much, and stay safe, and just read and safe, and be safe and protect the environment, right? So with this oath, let us complete today's lecture. Thank you.